You are listening to the Air Hug Community Podcast, and today we have a little episode with a big impact. Hey, welcome everybody. If you are new here, and if you're not new here, welcome back. But if you're new here, I just want to give you the 411 on this podcast. This is the Air Hug Community Podcast, and you can also think of it as a midlife mojo discussion board. So in this podcast, we come together to talk about midlife. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, all the emotions. We talk about approaches for living better. We talk about all sorts of things. We bring in guests. And this is just something that was created as a need out of my business from Grateful Fitness of working with women. I wanted to have a place where we could come to talk about things further. And so this is the place. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's get after it. Hello and welcome back. As I was saying just a moment ago, today we have a little episode with a big impact. We are going to talk about just how framing something with different wording can actually put an entire pivot on your outlook. And when you have a pivot on your outlook, things just seem to look better. So what I'm talking about today is thinking of things as a privilege versus a burden or an obligation. And you can switch this merely by changing the words have to, right, into choose to, or even better yet, get to. So let's talk about this. So I'm recording this podcast in early fall, and one of the things that I have decided I really get to do in the fall versus having to do is stacking wood. So I get very excited because I think of it like, oh my goodness, I get to stack wood. Where some other people might get their wood delivered for their fire and might think of it like, I have to stack wood. Right? I get to stack wood or I have to stack wood. So I just decided this years ago, no, it's not easy, but it's kind of fun. And I love to have fires inside when it's cold out, especially on weekends, like literally every single weekend, and I would do it on weeknights too. And I don't care because I get to stack wood and we have plenty of wood to burn, and it just makes it so much more fun. So what I'm here to say is stop treating your privileges like obligations and see what that does for you. See how that works out for you. So why should you do this? Why should you view your obligations as privileges? Well, you don't really have to. You could just do it to make your life more pleasant. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I'll tell you one, if you do, it's going to actually help you accomplish formerly dreadful tasks in a whole new light. So it's just a matter of taking the have-tos in our life and learning to enjoy them. And one of my favorite reasons for doing this is realizing that, okay, in midlife and beyond, literally waking up every day is a privilege. And I'm going to quote my favorite Cuban, my second favorite Cuban, Pitbull, right? Because his favorite lyric of all time, I think, my favorite lyric of his of all time is, every day above ground is a great day. So what I'm getting at here is that we get to do things because we had the privilege of waking up. So yeah, there are days, I'm going to be very honest, I don't like to cook on Sundays. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Sundays, unless I'm cooking for a crowd. If it's just kind of like a mundane, I guess maybe I want that to be a day off. I don't really know why that is, but I have just taken on this new attitude of, oh my gosh, I get to cook today. How cool is that? What should I cook? You know? So I don't know if it goes back to having when I forced myself to do all that food prep on Sundays. And now I'm just a little bit more spontaneous about it. And if I feel like food prepping, I will. And then I say, I get to food prep, you know. And when I say food prep, I mean kind of like when you're prepping for more than one meal, you know. But on Sundays, I'm lucky if I prep for one meal. So, and I have just taken on that attitude of, oh, this is kind of cool. So the thing is, we can replace have to with choose to, or take it one step further, get to anytime we want. We don't have to do things like exercise. We don't have to overeat or undereat. We don't have to eat in a balanced manner, but we get to do these things, right? We don't have to cook or shop or prep food, but we get to exercise. We get to eat any way we want. We get to cook. We get to shop. We get to prep food. We get to eat the food. We get to experience time with others. These are all privileges, right? But thinking of things as a have to signifies in our brain an obligation or a compulsion made to another person, right? Whereas when we tell them we get to do it, it's more like an opportunity or a privilege. And it's really just a matter of what we're feeding our brain, right? Here's something I thought was really interesting because I looked up a couple of things on Google. I went to a website called Ask Any Difference, and then I also looked on Grammarly because I was kind of getting into like the actual grammar part about it. Have to can be used in the present and future tense, right? And the thing is, when you view it in the future tense, under have to, it's more of a dreadful thing that you are not looking forward to. Get to is only used in the present tense, which I think is really cool because we only really have the present. So why should we dread something in the future if we don't even know if the future is going to get here, right? But if we speak in the present tense, we can be more, to me, it's just a more positive experience, right? I get to do something means that it's more fun, more exciting, more pleasant. But if I have to do it, it's more dreadful, it's more forced, it's more like taking bitter medicine, right? And so how do you want to view things? I suggest that you take something that you currently view as an obligation, something that you have to do, and reframe it for your brain as something that you get to do. And if you don't see it as something that you get to do, remember that you got to wake up today. You had the privilege of waking up today. So everything that you do today, you get to do because you're here, right? You're not in a morgue somewhere. So this is just my little message for today, and I think it's a really awesome way to take a look at life. And I know I'm not all sunshine and roses, but there are so many things in our life that we deem dreadful that really don't have to be dreadful. And so if you can even take on a few of them, right, as not terribly dreadful, if you're not a Debbie Downer all the time, then maybe, just maybe, you can have a little bit more brightness in your days. And I thank you for listening today. And remember to check back every Tuesday for a new episode here on the Air Hug Community Podcast. Now, I know I made a little hint of maybe going to every other week, but you know what? I've got so much to share with you that you can still expect to see a new episode here every single Tuesday. And go out and have a lovely day. I hope you get to enjoy doing everything that you have to do today.